Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
The holidays hit, and suddenly every simple choice just feels heavy.
Right.
We're not talking about like choosing a car, we're talking about choosing a ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this. Mrs. L, she's standing frozen in the gift wrap aisle. She's just staring at, I don't know, 15 different rolls. Shiny, matte polka dots.
Yeah.
And she can't move.
She's just stuck.
Completely. She just says, I can't. I don't know what to do. And she walks away.
And that's the moment we're digging into today.
Exactly. Because that moment isn't stubbornness, and it isn't apathy.
Yeah.
It's a critical failure of cognitive resources, something called decision fatigue.
It's a huge holiday irony, isn't it? The very thing that's supposed to be joyous abundance, it actually becomes this primary source of stress, especially for older adults.
So in this deep dive, we want to understand that overload. But more than that, we want to give you real supportive strategies.
Yes. To help you transform that frustration into successful, engagement.
Our goal here is to get past misinterpreting that withdrawal as someone just being difficult and instead see it for what it is.
A signal. A clear signal that the cognitive system is totally overwhelmed.
And the research backs us up.
Oh, absolutely. The core finding is that for aging adults, when you present too many choices at once, it creates this crushing cognitive load. It's the brain basically sending up a flare, a self-protective one, saying, this is too much, I can't manage it all.
Okay, so let's unpack that. When we say mental resources, what's actually being drained? What's the engine running out of fuel when Mrs. L is looking at all that wrapping paper?
Well, the primary engine under attack here is what we call working memory.
The brain's scratch pad.
Exactly. Think of it like a temporary scratch pad where you hold and juggle immediate information. So when you're choosing that paper, your scratch pad is it's overflowing.
With what, though?
You're thinking, is this for my grandson? Does it clash with the bow I already bought? Is this pattern too busy? How much money do I have left? And for aging adults, the capacity and speed of that scratch pad can naturally diminish a bit.
So it's not a lack of effort. It's a full hard drive sending an automatic shutdown signal. That makes it so much clearer.
Precisely. That is the very essence of cognitive overload. The second that scratch pad is overwhelmed, the brain just signals that the cost of deciding is way higher than the benefit, so it retreats. It's conserving resources.
And the holiday season is, it's almost perfectly designed to trigger this specific shutdown, isn't it? It just multiplies all those variables.
It really is a perfect storm. We see three major factors that all converge. First, it's just the sheer volume of concurrent decisions.
Right. You're deciding on the menu, the decorations, travel, gifts.
All at the same time, often in the same hour. Then second, there's unclear prioritization. Everything feels urgent. So that meta decision, that what should I tackle first, that's often the one that causes the first fatigue crash.
And the third has to be the environment itself, the
Yeah.
crowds, the music, the interruptions.
Absolutely. That social pressure to make the right choice for everyone, it adds this huge emotional weight. It turns choosing a ribbon into like a performance task.
And any interruption.
Any interruption, loud music, an announcement, a relative asking an unrelated question, it acts like an immediate disruptive restart to that very fragile working memory.
So those familiar tasks, wrapping gifts, deciding on a casserole, they stop being simple routines. They become these incredibly stressful micro marathons.
And that leads directly to avoidance. It's a totally natural coping strategy. The brain defaults to it to conserve energy, but that withdrawal, that's where the biggest family misinterpretations happen.
This is so critical because that avoidance can look exactly like defiance.
Yeah.
What are the signs, the observable things you should look for that signal overload, not opposition?
The behaviors often look like refusal, but they're really just stress responses. So you're looking for someone repeatedly saying, I don't know.
Everything.
Yes. Or leaving tasks unfinished for no clear reason, actively avoiding simple things like shopping or cooking, or even just, physically withdrawing to a quieter room. These are all self-protective.
It's so important to reframe that. When your loved one says, you decide, they're not being difficult.
No, not at all. They're telling you their internal management system is maxed out, and they're handing you the reins.
But we need to be clear here. How do we tell the difference between true decision fatigue and, just plain old stubbornness?
That's a great question. So if you're dealing with stubbornness, it tends to be task-specific. It's often rooted in an emotional preference or resistance to one particular idea, like, I don't want to go to Uncle Joe's house. That's a preference.
Okay, but what if I ask my dad, do you want to come shopping? And he just says, no, absolutely not, I'm staying home. Is that fatigue or a boundary?
Well, if it's fatigue, that refusal will be more generalized. It'll come with visible frustration or hesitation across multiple unrelated tasks.
Well, he says no to shopping.
But then he also struggles to choose between cereal and toast for breakfast. And then later, he can't remember what time his appointment is. Fatigue is systemic. It impacts decisions big and small. If he has a clear reason for not shopping and can handle other decisions fine, that's probably just a preference.
So if I don't know, starts applying to everything from picking a movie to the cooking schedule, we have to recognize that we're dealing with a cumulative cognitive debt.
Absolutely. A task that was simple on Monday can feel completely impossible by Friday if there's been a constant stream of decisions in between.
So what does this mean for us, for the family members trying to help? We can't just remove all choice. That's not the answer.
No, because choice is control, and control maintains dignity. The goal isn't removing choice, it's guided choice.
Making choices manageable.
Exactly. Supporting autonomy by making the choices manageable. Let's go back to Mrs. L in that gift wrap aisle. There are 5 key strategies we can use right there in that moment.
Okay, let's walk through them. How can we actually implement this?
The first, and honestly the most powerful, is to limit options. Instead of her facing that wall of 15 rolls, you step in. You pull out the red one and the green one.
And you say,
I love this classic red or this festive green. Which of these 2 feels best for the kids' gifts? Just like that, you've reduced 15 cognitive pathways down to a simple binary choice.
that immediately lowers the tax on working memory. But what about more complex tasks, like putting together a new toy or following a recipe? You can't always just boil that down to 2 things.
True, and that's where the second strategy comes in. Break decisions into steps. So instead of asking them to figure out the whole assembly process, you just ask for a decision on the very first subtask.
So for the recipe,
For the recipe, you don't ask what are all the ingredients we need. You ask, we need 2 cups of flour. Can you find the measuring cup? You turn the marathon into a series of short sprints.
and a small victory builds confidence for the next small step.
Yes. Third, use visual aids. If Mrs. L is trying to remember which paper she used last year, don't just rely on her memory.
Have a picture on your phone.
Exactly. Or use labeled gift boxes so she only has to match the item to the label. Anything that externalizes that mental load reduces the pressure on her internal scratch pad.
The next one is something I think we're all guilty of, especially when things get busy. Rushing.
That's strategy number 4. Allow time to decide. Do not rush. Rushing just intensifies the stress, and it's a guaranteed path to cognitive panic and withdrawal.
So if you offer 2 choices and they pause,
Let them have that time, even if it's 30 seconds. That internal processing is critical, and rushing just shatters it.
and finally there's the emotional piece, the anchor.
That's number 5. Validate their effort, and this is key. You praise the attempt, not just the successful result.
So instead of good job choosing the red paper,
You say, I appreciate how thoughtfully you looked at those options and made a choice. That takes effort. You reinforce their competency in the process, which is what rebuilds their confidence long term.
okay, but what about logistics? What if the whole family is trying to help at once? I can see that getting chaotic.
That is a vital point. You have to coordinate support. Only one person should be guiding the decisions at a time.
Because if one person says, use the shiny paper,
And the other immediately jumps in with, no, the plain paper is better. Well, you've just introduced conflicting instructions. That's a massive stressor, and it guarantees an immediate overload. You need a single point of decision control.
and what if they just completely freeze? The total shutdown, they just throw their hands up and say, you do it.
Then you pause. You have to let them step away and reset. Later, you can reintroduce the task, but in those tiny micro decisions we talked about.
And if that becomes a pattern,
If they start avoiding all decisions and letting others take over, you have to step back, drastically reduce the choices you offer, maybe just 1 or 2 at a time, and gradually rebuild their confidence without any pressure at all.
and all of this is actually grounded in some pretty solid research.
Oh, absolutely. This goes back to foundational work by Iyengar and Lepper in 2000. It's the famous jam study. They found that when shoppers were offered 24 choices of jam versus only 6, they were far more likely to actually buy the jam and feel more satisfied when the choices were limited.
Too much choice led to avoidance.
It dramatically increased avoidance. So you take that principle, but now the stakes are so much higher than a jar of preserves. You're talking about maintaining autonomy and joy.
And for an aging adult with some cognitive limitations, this effect is amplified.
Exactly. For them, it's not just reduced satisfaction. It leads directly to the cognitive failure and withdrawal we've been discussing. The Journal of Gerontology highlighted this back in 2013, that working memory limitations make older adults especially susceptible during these kinds of multi-step tasks.
So, circling back, when Mrs. L walked away from that gift wrap aisle, it wasn't a personal failure, it was a scientific signal that her cognitive system hit its limit.
It was. And we can help her just by turning that shelf of 10 options into a simple binary choice. That transformation is entirely within our control.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener, beyond just the holidays?
It means that while cognitive processing does change with age, decision fatigue itself is strongly influenced by things we can change. Modifiable factors like task complexity, time pressure, and the environment.
So, the final thought here isn't about taking choices away.
No. The most effective way to support autonomy isn't to remove choice, which can lead to learned helplessness. It's to proactively design an environment where choices are manageable and where control is maintained. You can nurture that control and that joy, one small guided decision at a time. And that ensures engagement, not frustration, is the theme of the season and the year ahead.